We're talking about the best games in the last leg of 2024.
And reflecting on 100 plays of Unmatched and Similo.
In this episode of Little Big Thumbs.
Welcome to Little Big Thumbs and Happy New Year. Thank you for being here, Milo, as we are going to be recapping the fourth quarter of 2024, putting a bow on the last year as we vault into 2025. So in this video, we're going to be talking about our gameplay stats from October, November, and December of 2024. We're going to be talking about our most played games of the entire year, which had to do with our board game challenge for the year. And our top board game picks of that final quarter of the year. And that's the plan. So, Milo, are you ready to go?
I'm ready. Let's dive right in.
All right. What stats do you have?
All right. So I played a total of 128 plays from October 1st to December 31st.
Yeah.
I believe of those 128, 68 or 69 were unique games.
Okay.
My person that I played the most games with was Hannah, my partner.
Nice.
Over the last few quarters, as these videos were released, she was like, "I want to be the player that you play the most with. I want to be that person one quarter." So she made it. Yeah, it was fun. It was good. And my H index was only 3. Okay. So.
And as a reminder, H index is the number of games that you played the same number of times. So in your case, that's 3 games that were played at least 3 times each. All right. So I think that means it's my turn. And in the fourth quarter, October, November, December, I played 216 games.
Whoa.
Which is comparing the 4 quarters was far and away the most of any quarter. Part of that was part to do with our challenge, which we'll get to in a few moments. I played a 69 unique games over the course of the quarter. My most frequent gaming partner, as with the third quarter, was my younger daughter, Josie. But my older daughter, Harriet, she really, really wanted to be in this spot. And so I'm giving her a special shout out because she did a lot of work playing a lot of games of Similo with me in these last few months, long past the time that either of my kids really wanted to be playing that game anymore. So a special shout out to Harriet. She was so close to being number 1 this time, but didn't quite make the cut. And my H index was 5. So there were 5 games that I played at least 5 times over the course of those 3 months. And those are our stats for the fourth quarter of 2024. Now, normally at this point in our previous quarterly roundup videos, we talk about our most played games of the quarter. But we're going to do a slight diversion from that this time because we finished up our challenge, which was to play 2 games 100 times each. Those games being Similo and Unmatched. And so I thought, rather than talking about special most played games of the quarter, let's talk about this challenge, our most played games of the entire year.
I'm definitely excited to do this portion of the video. It's something I've been looking forward to all year. There's obviously been ups and downs, and I'm so glad that we made it. I'm pretty proud of us.
Absolutely. There were times throughout the year that I was not sure I was going to make it. There were times in December that I was not sure I was going to get over the finish line with either of these games. But, determination, the support of friends, asking for help.
It's true.
Was a key component, and my friends and my family stepped up to help me get those 100 plays done of each game.
Yes, thank you to everyone who helped us along the way.
Why don't we start with Similo? Similo is the game that you picked for this challenge. How do you feel about Similo now after having spent, basically a third of the year?
I like Similo. It's a great game, and as a game boss at the boardroom here in Halifax, I definitely still recommend it a lot. I don't know that I will choose to play it anytime in the near future. If one of my friends, You know what? Okay, I feel like the only way that I would be playing Similo in the near future was if there were two very specific conditions. And those are a new deck was released
Right.
that I would want to try out,
Yeah.
and a friend or friends of mine were really excited and really wanted to play with me. Similo is a great game and I love it. I have like 4 different copies of the game now. They'll never leave my collection, but I do need a little bit of a break.
Sure, that's totally understandable. You talk about future decks for Similo. There's a Jurassic Park version of it, or
I'm
Jurassic,
back in. I'm back in.
which I'm excited to get my hands on. It's not available at retailers, at least not in Canada at this time. But I'm excited to play that one.
I didn't know that was a thing, so.
So one of the ways that that we kept things interesting, playing Similo so many times over the course of the year, was through variants. There are variants like listed in the rulebook of Similo, and there are all sorts of homebrew variants that are available online. And so, are there any variants that stood out in your mind as we play through this challenge?
I really enjoyed playing with a bigger grid, like more than just 12 cards.
Right.
And so, like, obviously some rounds you would have to, like, eliminate the same number of cards as you just eliminated. But it obviously made it more challenging. And I think because it was more challenging, there were instances where I found it more interesting. Like, after so many games, and like any game, if you play any game the same number of times and without variation, it can get monotonous. So that was fun.
The standard variant in the rulebook is taking 2 different decks of Similo, using one for your grid and one different one for the clues, which like increases the difficulty of the game a whole bunch. So for instance, if the cards in the grid are animals and your clues are like historical figures, it's very hard to convince people, like, how am I pointing people to the bunny when I've got like Julius Caesar and I don't know, Shakespeare in my hands to communicate with. Very tricky to play that way. Same as you said, the larger grid, we played a lot with 16 cards instead of 12.
Yep.
And then eliminating 2, 3, 4, and then 5 cards to bring you down to the final 2 in the game there. Those were the 2 variants that stood out in my mind. We also tried like subbing out cards from other games in some of our games of Similo, which didn't go like quite as well as using the actual Similo decks. So that means that Horrible Guild is doing a tremendous job developing their decks to be interesting and like talk to each other in some different ways.
So we talked about Similo and the roller coaster of events that Similo brought with us. And Similo was, of course, my choice. I'm curious to know how you feel about Unmatched after doing 100 plays of it. So please, tell me.
I love Unmatched. I think it, like, after 100 plays of Unmatched, my feelings about the game are only like further solidified. Having the chance, the motivation to play like with the same deck multiple times, getting to know some decks a lot better. Starting our Unmatched After 10 video series, in which we covered Sun's Origin and Slings and Arrows, and very soon covering the Witcher set, was like a great motivation to focus on specific sets. In some ways, 100 plays was almost not enough. And I'm sure that like some in the dedicated Unmatched community for whom this is like their lifestyle game. I know like lots of folks in those communities, they're like, rookie numbers.
I'll play 200 times.
Yeah, absolutely. Some played 400. Some I'm sure played 1,000 games of Unmatched last year. And so anyways, but for me, very satisfying to spend so much time with the game. As with any of these challenges, there were peaks and valleys. There were times that I kind of didn't want to play Unmatched for a few weeks or a couple of months. A lot of my friends kind of got sick of the game, but for myself, I'm happily going to keep chugging on with Unmatched, and can't wait to explore the new sets coming in 2025, and just continually like getting to know this game better and better.
I feel the exact same way. It's a game that has a lot of depth to it, at least in comparison to something like Similo, which is, like it can be as quick as like a 10-15 minute game. True. Similo, I mean. Yeah. But Unmatched, there's a lot of decisions to make, and with the like new deck, not just decks, but the new like boxes that were released this year, it was hard to get sick of it because we were constantly playing new characters, and not even just new characters in general, but like new, like every game you play is going to be different based on the characters that you're playing with and the people you're playing with. So it was a lot of variation. And I also feel like before this 100 plays of Unmatched, I had a love for the game, but it wasn't as deep. It was a superficial love. So I definitely feel like I know the game better now, and I'm excited to play more of it and to, despite having played 100 times last year, I still don't think that I'm a master at all. Like, of those 100 plays, I feel like I won, I don't know, like 15 maybe. Like, it was a really low number. So clearly, like, I've still got some learning and growth to do. But yeah, Unmatched was a pleasure to play 100 times.
Amazing. So of those 100 plays, what which three characters did you play most frequently over the course of the year?
So, okay, for me, the most played characters were Alice, Medusa, and Dracula. Dracula I played the most because I have Cobble and Fog personally. So out of the three of those that I played the most, I think Alice was my top, the one that I played the most out of those three. So I'd still play Alice, like, given the choice out of, I would say, most characters, especially like the older ones. If something like was just released, like Slings and Arrows, for example, I'm more likely to choose something new, but Alice is like one of the older releases that I really enjoy going back to. As we've talked about many, many times on the channel, I really love Alice in Wonderland. Like the franchise, like the story, the lore, just everything to do with it. And I really like being able to switch between being big and small and having the Jabberwocky there. Like it's all just so fun. And the names of the cards are like so silly and fun as well. So, yeah.
Great. With a lot of these games that like have sort of a long tail to them, they have sort of a legacy that they're building over time. There's an issue with what's called power creep. And I find it interesting how well many of the earlier decks stand up against the modern decks, how well they perform. But I'm going to loop back and say my own three most played decks. My most played deck was Dracula, again from Cobble and Fog. Second most was Oda Nobunaga from Sun's Origin. And then thirdly was the Wayward Sisters from Slings and Arrows. The latter two, I think, because of our Unmatched After 10 series, really focusing on the decks in those sets, and Sons of Origin being just a set of two decks. There was an incentive to like revisit those two decks frequently, which was really satisfying. Got to know those ones really well. So to tie a bow on this challenge, on our Unmatched 100 plays, let's finally discuss our most memorable, our most surprising, our most delightful, humorous, whatever, moments of playing Unmatched over the course of the year. Do you have any?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes. So the first one that stuck out to me was in January. You had a tournament, some sort of wrestling event was going on. And
not just some sort of wrestling event. The Royal Rumble,
The
Milo.
Royal Rumble.
Yes.
My mistake. No, I should have known. It's something I look forward to, honestly. I've been invited to the Royal Rumble for a few years now. And
Absolutely.
it's coming, right?
It is February 1st.
Yeah, great. Okay. I look forward to it. But during the Royal Rumble last year, you had a tournament, and the specific game that I remember the most was I was playing against our friend John Gallant, and he was Golden Bat and I was Raptors.
Yeah.
And from what I came into the event quite late. I wasn't really part of the tournament. I did 2 games. I came in late. I had to leave early. But from what I remember, he had been doing really well, had won a few games or something like that. And I know that John Gallant is an experienced, unmatched person. We know that John Gallant loves, I don't know why I keep saying his last name, John Gallant, our friend John, loves playing Unmatched. And so I felt a little bit intimidated, especially playing 1v1. But it was, I think to this day, the closest game of Unmatched I have ever had.
Wow.
It was just it was back and forth so evenly. There was never a time where we were more than 2 health points away from each other.
Oh, wow.
And it was such a close game. And the only reason, so he did end up winning in the end. And I shouldn't say the only reason, but the thing that got me was the maneuvering without cards in my deck. And so and the same had happened to him. That's how we were taking most of our damage towards the end. But it just happened that I ran out of cards first. And so that's what got me in the end. But it was very, very close. And it was a really fun and memorable game to play against John. So that's one of my most memorable moments this year. What about you?
Nice. I've got several, but I'm going to start with one talking about a surprise at number one, how popular and successful the decks from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer set were. Buffy's got tremendous nostalgic appeal for all sorts of folks, and so having that set in the mix, it got requested frequently, and it's kind of got a bad rap in the Unmatched community as maybe not the strongest decks, but in our games they kept winning.
That's true. They did.
Spike kept winning. Buffy kept winning the games that came up. So they're strong decks. Maybe they don't have the most innovative mechanics compared to some of the decks we're seeing now, but it was surprising how much people enjoyed those decks. And any game in which you have a Mr. Pointy card is going to be a great time. So that was my first surprise. I think that being able to there's such an immense homebrew community for Unmatched with decks and boards and whatnot. So having the opportunity to play one of these massive fan-made boards with 6 or 8 players together was really tremendous. I mean, it wasn't the most satisfying gameplay experience because really the game is designed for 2 to 4 players primarily. But it was cool having that experience. We had the chance to play a 5-player game on the Tales to a Maze board, which was a great deal of fun.
Yeah.
Do you have any other surprises? I've been rambling for a bit.
No, that's okay. You've definitely covered a lot of them. One other one that sticks out to me was I go to an RPG retreat every year, and I remember this past year, some of the first games I got to play with Hannah were Unmatched.
Oh.
She was like, hey, what's this challenge that you mentioned? And I was like, I have to play this game 100 times. And she was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And so I remember there was some of the getting to know you stage. We played a few games of Unmatched, and so that obviously sticks out for me.
Amazing. Fantastic. Why don't we put a bow, keep talking about these bows, but let's put a bow on the entire challenge with two questions, I guess. No, one question. Would you ever take on a 100 play challenge again?
Yes.
Yeah?
No hesitations. I absolutely would. As challenging as it was, it was so enriching, and I feel like I learned a lot. I grew a lot. Yeah, absolutely, I would. Yes. What about
Fantastic.
you?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It made me realize, like as content creators, as game consumers, where the whole industry kind of pushes us to want to play new things less frequently. And so having the chance to dedicate ourselves, to have the accountability of going on camera and saying, this is how I'm doing, it really made me appreciate how much more we could be getting out of the games that are currently on our shelves. And so I appreciate it for that. I would do it again for that reason. Yeah. Now, Milo, we're gonna wrap things up today by talking about our favorite game from the fourth quarter of 2024. Talking October, November, December.
Yes.
So, Milo, do you have a game queued up to talk about as your favorite of the quarter?
I do.
All right, lay it on me.
So this game is Harvest. It is a worker placement game. It is Keymaster.
Okay.
I played it, I think, 3 times in the last quarter of 2024. And it's so cute. It's so cute. It was like the thing that initially caught my eye on the shelf at work was do you know anything about it?
I know what it looks like.
Okay,
but I don't really
okay.
know anything about the game.
Yeah, so the thing that caught my eye was the back of the box with the animals on it. And I was like, ooh, cutesy little animals. Like, it was giving me Root vibes. Not that the two are similar beyond the, like, animal factor, but I was like, I wonder if this is another game that has cutesy animals that I can destroy my friends at. And
Those are some similar vibes.
yeah, exactly. So that's why I was initially drawn to it. Update, I have been destroyed so far. I have
Wow.
not done any destroying myself
Oh
with
my.
Harvest. I really love worker placement games, but this game, I feel like because what you're doing is like growing crops and different vegetables like in a garden space. And because of that, you're interacting with people. Well, not so much interacting with people like in the actual game, but like outside of the game in like the story that you could tell. You know, you all go to the store and you meet, you buy your vegetables, you grow your garden, and you're like, you have to fertilize stuff, and there are these little tiny poop tokens. It's so funny. They're called fertilizer in the rule book, but nobody calls them that. We all call them poops, and they'll be like,
Right.
oh yes, and I'll collect 3 poops here, and then I'll spend the poops to do this, and it's just so funny.
That sounds
Anyway, I had a great time with it, and I'll be playing it more in the future. It's a lot of fun.
amazing. I really want to play this with you now. And it's based on your track record, I look forward to having the chance to destroy you
Yep.
at Harvest, apparently. Maybe. Or maybe your streak will be broken.
We'll see.
All right, so my top game of the fourth quarter of 2024 is from Kids Table Board Gaming. It is a smaller, one of their medium-sized games, and it is called Cafe Barras. These are capybaras who've opened up coffee and tea shops and are looking to expand their wares and sell them and get regular customers coming into their shop in order to end the game and perhaps win the game. And this game it's quick, it's easy to learn, it is intuitive, and yet all sorts of crunchy decisions to be made. It is accessible. I had the chance to play it with my older daughter, Harriet. My younger daughter is curious to play, although we have not bridged that gap yet. And I've just enjoyed this game so much. It is like near the top of my favorite Kids Table Board Gaming games.
Oh.
It might be my favorite Roberta Taylor designed game, and just so much fun. I love how just like straightforward it is, gorgeous as so many of the KTBG games are. And this is one I'm going to be playing lots more in 2025 and beyond. So, Cafe Barras, my top game of Q4 2024.
That's so funny that you mentioned it because I have plans to play it with our friend Kathleen tomorrow night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she
Awesome.
ordered it, I think, through Boxing Day sales, and it just came in, and she was like, Milo, are you free Friday night? I want to play this game.
Oh, man.
So I haven't played it yet, but I'm extra excited to now. So
All right.
yeah.
Well, maybe we'll have to come back on camera and talk about your experience somewhere down the line in the future. Fantastic. All right. So our top games of the quarter: Harvest from Keymaster Games and Cafe Barras from Kids Table Board Gaming. And so that brings us to the end of this video. We've got one tease for a next video to come, and then a question for you. Why don't we start with that? Asking what were your favorite games of the last few months that you've played? Let us know in the comments of this video. And if you're not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We want to have you along for the ride for all the fun things we're going to be talking about in the future. Now, our next video, we are going to be talking about the best game of 2024. So over the past year, we have been doing these quarterly roundup reports, and in each of those videos, we have talked about our favorite game of the quarter. And so in our next video, we're going to be taking all of those favorite games and kind of putting them into the ring for a Royal Rumble of their own, as we discuss and debate which of these games was, in our opinion, the best of the year. So you can have that to look forward to, and we hope you'll join us for that. Milo, any final thoughts before we wrap things up today?
No.
Excellent.
I don't.
Fantastic. I'm glad I asked that question.
Smooth brain.
Smooth brain. All right, folks. Well, that's it for today. So thank you so much for watching. And until next time, whether you've got little players
Or big players
make sure that you keep playing games
that make your thumbs go way up. Bye for now.